Welcome back to the Witch's Way podcast. I'm Kat.
And I'm Jamie, and tonight we are talking about working with the goddess Artemis for Sagittarius season.
Sagittarius season makes us crave freedom, adventure, and truth, but the world keeps trying to box us in.
Always the boxing in of the world. But it's giving, rebellious energy, the Sagittarius and the Artemis combination, just so you know, a little sneak peek there. Which makes sense because, this season with Artemis, it's... she's the original wild woman, and I didn't put this in there, but in case anybody, this is the Greek pantheon, we're going to talk about that, but Diana is the other one, and so people know Diana as that as well. Like, that's she was named the Amazonian, and, there's all these cultural little overlaps, but yes, this is the wild woman of the goddesses, for sure.
I love her already.
I know, right?
Yeah.
She's going to get better. You're just going to learn so much, you're going to love her. Artemis is definitely a goddess that I could get behind 100%. And she's really well known. So I know we've done a lot of obscure goddesses, and this is our last goddess. This is our 12th.
This is 12 goddesses.
12 goddesses that we've done this year.
Oh, good. Now I can make a section on our website about the goddesses.
Yeah,
about the goddesses that we've covered. Yeah.
I've learned some new ones for
12
sure.
important goddess every witch needs to know.
There you go. Well, so just to name some brief things, if you've seen Artemis, she's always got a bow. She's the protector of children, the wild hunt. She is that nature goddess. You see her usually with animals and with her bow and arrow.
By the end of this episode, here's what you're going to learn. How to channel the Artemis fire to reclaim your independence, protect your peace, and reconnect with your wild instincts, all while keeping your magic intentional.
I love that. So, I got to talk about the myth and the story about Artemis, but we're not going to dive in too much. She is an Olympian goddess, okay? So we've done probably 3 or 4 of those now. But that's probably biased to me because I like that pantheon, the Greek pantheon. So
I do too.
I don't know why. Maybe it's because that was my mythology class growing up. That's just what I had access to. So it just feels normal to go back to that. But in Greek mythology, Artemis is actually the twin to Apollo, who everybody knows flew too close to the sun, the wings, all the wax, all this stuff. But she's the goddess of the moon. So a lot of people will associate her with the huntress at night under the full moon, right? That's the imagery that you'll find. She's the goddess of the wilderness and then the goddess of the hunt. So when I think of the hunt, it's the protector to provide, but also the protector in case things are being hunted. She's both.
Okay.
Yeah. So she, one of the things that I really love about her, and I did not write this in there, but if you want to consider it, I'm doing air quotes, a virgin goddess, which really just means that she was never married. So she basically asked Zeus, her dad, if she could remain wild and free and unmarried so that she could be devoted to her nature and her own autonomy. And so that's why she is the wild goddess, because she never settled for a man. She stayed wild.
She didn't get married and she didn't have kids, but she is a protector of the young, especially young women.
Yeah.
Along with childbirth and pregnant women. She also protects those, the mothers and the children. She's a protector of the wild and wild animals. She's also known to have loved fiercely and punished cruelty, especially against women or the innocent.
Which I
really love her.
I know. I told you.
We need, I feel like...
so many more Artemises.
I feel like we could also almost name our revolution Artemis or something because it just sounds like she cared about women and children and nature and animals
protecting
and all
the innocent, the creatures who can't defend themselves. Or I think of children and childbirth and women that are pregnant, you're in this sort of more fragile state where you do need a protector. You need somebody to stand up for you because you're not yet on your feet. You're not quite there yet, you're in a transitional period. Ooh, she's like the goddess of the transitioning period, sort of, right?
Well, here's an interesting thing about her. She's contradictory in her nature. Despite protecting women in childbirth, her arrows could also bring sudden death in childbirth. She was also the goddess of healing, but could also inflict disease. Oh, it sounds like every woman I know who's got 2 sides to her.
Listen, if you're going to protect shit, you have to be able to do the dirty work of it too,
You got to be able to take some shit out at the same time. Yeah.
Just because you got love and light on one side doesn't mean
there's always there's never just light. There's always
There can't be,
There
right.
can't. There.
Yeah.
Without darkness, we wouldn't know what light is. So yeah.
Right. I know. I tried to come up with some motto or like thing in my head where, with shadow self and stuff, like without light, you couldn't see your shadows, but without your shadows, you wouldn't know it was light either. Like shadow defines things. Shadow gives things shape. And I think of that in the artistic world. When you start to paint something, it's so important to put your shadows in there. That's what gives shape to everything.
Right.
So
Yeah, otherwise
like
it's
that
flat.
darker side, right. That dark side is needed so badly. So her symbols, which I love, and you'll find statues of her. So she is a pretty popular goddess if you look her up online. But her symbols are the crescent moon, and like Diana, you'll see her with like a crescent moon on her head. Often the full moon, like in modern times now, I think a lot we see her with a full moon imagery instead. Illuminating the way because she's a protector. So the crescent moon, or the moon in general, a bow and arrow for sure, because she is like the huntress, the guardian of the hunt, the protector, a deer or deer-like creatures. Sometimes it shows her holding onto their horns, and I don't know why. Like, that's never been explained in art to me, like why they're just holding a horn, like she's keeping it captive or walking it, or like I don't understand the imagery there, but she's often depicted with a deer with her or horns around her or something. So like when witches have antlers on their altar, that's what I think of. That's like an ode to Artemis. Or Diana. Yeah. So also the cypress tree. So Greece, Cyprus, like all of that makes sense from the area where her legend was created. And her symbols remind us that power doesn't have to come from dominance. Like, think about all those things. It's not necessarily that those are dominant things, right? Like a deer. If you have a deer as your animal, who's really like, they're going to take over the world. Like, it's not, it doesn't feel like that. Like, she's not the all powerful whatever, right? It's more about like, it comes from self-trust and focus and knowing exactly where to aim your energy. So the horns remind me of like when bucks are fighting for territory or defending themselves, they know exactly how to land, right? Like they know exactly what they're doing. Those points, when you shoot an arrow, I always think of the Sagittarius, which we're going to get into in a minute, but Sagittarius is always that, the bow and arrow shot. But I also think of Babe Ruth, and I know that's so weird because Babe Ruth did the thing where he like pointed to where he was going to hit the ball and then hit the ball. Like it was a very famous thing. And I'm not a huge baseball person at all. I just know that. And it makes me think of like, that's the directness of the Sagittarius' arrow. Like they point to it and they aim. They do it intentionally. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of intention behind that wild fire, that aiming, that, the bow, all of that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. One could also think of, I guess, Katniss from the Hunger Games. She was like, wielded the bow and arrow.
Okay, so let's talk about some practical magic and rituals for Sagittarius season. The theme around this season is freedom with focus. Jamie was just talking about aiming the arrow, pointing and then aiming and then hitting your mark. Mm-hmm. Moonlit walks.
Oh, yes.
Honor Artemis by walking at night under the moon. Set intentions for where you need space. And listen for what your intuition whispers in the quiet. I love nothing more than being out under the moon.
Yeah. I mean, that feels freeing to me.
It feels magical.
Yeah, always.
Always.
When I think about listening to yourself in the dark, it's those automatic thoughts that can come up. And this is where, if you are really paying attention to the things that you think when nothing else is going on, it's a good time to kind of, your shadow work stuff gets exposed right then, I told you about the time I was getting dressed and I was in the middle of like doing a bunch of stuff that I wanted to do, and then I was like, let's go make the people happy. And it was an automatic thought that I had, and I didn't even mean to think that. I was like, oh shit, I must feel a way about like always having to care for everybody, being that caretaker. I was like, oh man, it must have got to me.
Another thing for a spell for this season would be an arrow spell. So you can write down what you want on a piece of paper, what you're aiming for this season on a piece of paper, and burn or bury it with herbs like a bay leaf for victory or a cedar for protection.
Yep, you can draw an arrow on the paper. You can cut the paper into an arrow shape, like anything that gives you imagery that makes it feel more connected to that. But you writing your intention down is aiming your energy, because like when you say that you want something and that you're looking for it, you're aiming your energy to go after that thing. So next would be a sacred bow meditation. You guys know how I am with like meditation and mantras and stuff. Imagine drawing an energetic bow, like, you know, picture yourself doing it. I know I just did that and nobody can actually see me doing it on the podcast. I have to like narrate myself. Right now I'm drawing an imaginary bow from my back and lifting my arms up like I'm shooting an arrow out into space, you know, thinking about what I would want it to hit. But you draw an energetic bow at something that you want, like you're aiming at a target. And then you inhale. You know, if you've ever watched somebody shoot a bow and arrow, they don't usually do it really fast. They like pull it out, point, give themselves a minute. Really, they're aiming, they're thinking, it's so intentional, and then they let go because it's like they've made their point. So you inhale to draw in your power, draw it all up into that bow, thinking about your intention and what you want, and then release it without any doubt. Just like, you know it's going to hit it. You have no doubts that it's going to get there. And you feel your focus really sharpen when you do that, you know, that you know exactly what you want. Like, I mean, this reminds me of spell work on why it's so important to write down the outcome that I want. Like, this is the outcome. I'm aiming for that.
Mm-hmm. I took archery class in high school, and I loved it.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely loved it. It was so fun.
Cameron did it when he was like, I don't know, 4, 5, and 6 in South Carolina, and he was really good at it. Better than every other kid there.
Really?
Yeah. They took him to I want to say it was called a turkey shoot, where, you know, it's not a real turkey, but you had to hit this one target with a bow and arrow, like a BB gun and something else, and an axe or something. No, like throwing shit. It was a little dangerous, and he was like 6, but he was so good at it. I was so proud of him. Yeah, so he's done archery a couple times in his life, and he remembers that he likes it a lot. Yeah, good stuff. So next would be having an animal ally in your magic. So thinking about, you know, working with something outside of yourself. So this is when we invoke. This is when we invoke. We're calling something from outside of ourselves to work with. Artemis was the guardian, or is the guardian of animals. And so spending time connecting with any wildlife, even your pets, they're technically kind of wild. We're all wild. I mean, in some way, right? Or even like spirit animals, thinking about them. Oh my gosh. And I had a crazy hawk story that I haven't told you about. In my yard. My yard is like Discovery Channel for animal stuff that goes on all the time.
Florida is like the Discovery Channel.
It is. There's a lot of wild stuff here. Wilder than any other state I've ever lived in. And I've lived in places with a lot of big open spaces, but you just don't come that close to the animals like you do here. So with animal ally magic, you want to think about spending time with animals, whether it's wildlife, your pets, or spirit animals, you know, totem animals, whatever you want to call them, things that you really connect with. You know, like I love dolphins, but I'm probably not going to go seek one out. It'd more be like imagining spending time with a dolphin in its natural habitat, maybe. I don't know. And you could do that while you're in water, but it is flipping cold in Florida here. We're not getting in any water anytime soon. So you can leave offerings towards these animals, real or fictitious, you know, like you like dragons, remember?
I like dragons, yeah.
If you were to leave an offering for a dragon, what would you leave a dragon?
The first thing that comes to my mind is like meat, because that's what they like to eat, and then they like to fire and cook it. Yeah. And I just think of that from you remember in Game of Thrones when the dragons are little bitty. Yeah. And she puts the little meat in there, like she's a Dracarys. Yeah. And they shoot their little flames, and then they eat it once it's heated up.
Like, I don't want that raw meat. My first one is coins, and that's probably because like The Hobbit, because the dragon is in a cave with like coins, I think, like in money, and also maybe Shrek was money or something like that.
Meat wouldn't really be something that you could do. The only other thing that popped into my head was like wood, or a piece of wood, so they could start a fire and warm up things, you know?
Interesting. So that's basically what you would do, thinking about what you would work with, is what would you offer this animal? You don't have to look it up online. There's no correct answer. It's just like whatever you're feeling in order to work with something from the wild, you know, wildlife in general.
Yeah, and it's going to probably come down to your experience in life, because, you know, what have you been exposed to that you'll get your ideas from? And like Jamie said, there's no wrong answer.
No wrong answer. It's just, it's whatever you want to do, you know? I guess I leave offerings for birds and squirrels and doves. Doves have the hardest time getting on feeders. They're ground feeders, they don't really want to get on a bird feeder. So I go out almost every morning and scatter bird seed on the ground for them. So that they can like hunt and peck and gather and do their normal thing. Yeah, they flock to my yard. I love them so much. So I try to make it easy on them. So I guess I do that with doves in my yard because I love them. They're so cute with their tiny feet and big old boobies. That's why I feel bad for them, right? Because they're just like, they're heavy chested like I am. Yes, I get it. I understand their struggles because they can't get on bird feeders because they have such big chests and can't get to stuff.
There are some herbs and stones that you can use that go with this season. So mugwort for intuition, juniper for protection, and turquoise for courage and travel magic. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so those are. I have my pretty birthday
Your
ring
moonstone. Yeah,
moonstone. Yeah,
gorgeous.
I don't have any turquoise
Yet. Yule is coming. Yeah.
Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion.
It is, yeah. Do you like Jupiter? Is that like one of your planets that you like?
Who doesn't like expansion? And yeah, Jupiter is a great planet.
I love Jupiter. I was sad when I realized that Jupiter wasn't my planet. It was Neptune. And then I was like, well, no, I'm going to the old one. Like, I'm taking Jupiter back. So I believe Jupiter is my planet, being a Pisces. Just saying. Yep.
This season asks us to take big leaps of faith. And Artemis reminds us, even when you roam far, keep your inner compass steady.
Yeah, so if you're expanding and things are going on, and Sagittarius season, because it has Christmas and the Yule, and we have like the longest night, these are the times when you're going to do more, travel, see more, go outside of your norm. I think the end of November through December really pushes us because there are so many events, there's so many gatherings, there's so many things to do.
There's a lot of things going on that you can partake of. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, just so much that, I think that's why there is expansion and going beyond your normal bounds. And then, just make sure that you're keeping true to yourself. That's where you want to remember that arrow with purpose. Don't just involve yourself with everything. Make sure that it has purpose for you. Otherwise, you're going to feel stuck. And, the Sagittarius, Sagittarius is like their freedom. They want to roam. They don't want to be fenced in. So if you get stuck in like occasions and events that you really don't want to be at, it's going to feel especially hard during Sagittarius season because that's like the season of freedom.
Find an exit.
Find an exit, yeah. Make one up if you have to. Say it's a mental health day for you.
So next we're going to talk about empowerment and integration, embodying Artemis's energy. Artemis energy is about boundaries that protect your peace, not walls that isolate you and keep you locked in.
Yeah. So there's freedom with good boundaries. And it's the boundaries that keep you free, and you don't overcommit. That's the word I was thinking of, overcommitting during some of these things during this time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So with empowerment and integration, it's like Artemis is the embodiment of the sovereign feminine. Sovereign meaning that you belong to yourself. I had to look that word up so many times. In the last 5 years. Yeah. Because sovereignty feels so heavy, like it was a church word to me, but I get it now. Like now I can associate it with a goddess. So the sovereign femininity, where we own ourselves, that we don't belong to anybody. We do things with people and we expend our energy with people, but we don't belong to anybody. We belong to ourselves, and we have to make sure to nourish ourselves. That independent, intuitive, and fierce compassion is also really alive during this time, these are things that you can feel during this time that would really be that embodiment of Artemis during the season. Working with her can teach us how to say no without guilt and yes with no fear. This is the healthy boundaries part. This is knowing what you actually want, knowing that going into some situations, especially during the holiday season, is unhealthy for you. And it's okay to know that and not be afraid of it and not have guilt around it. You know yourself best. Nobody else does. So when people are trying to force you to do shit you don't want to do, say no. And if they're not taking no for an answer, just silence. No answer is an answer.
No answer is an answer. So here are some ways that we can embody Artemis's energy. some actual things that we can do, like reconnect with your body through movement, like dance, hike, run, ski, water ski. No, not water ski.
Oh, if you go to the like Bahamas
Somewhere
or
warm,
something.
yeah, but something really active. So moving your body, and that's a way to just reconnect and remember who you are.
The wild parts of us.
Practicing intuitive goal setting. Allow your curiosity to lead you instead of feeling like this external pressure to
live the template to get what everybody says you should have.
Speak your truth, even when it shakes a little.
Yeah.
So, like Jamie just said, if those people aren't listening to you, you're trying to set boundaries, then it's like, bye. Ain't got time for this shit.
Yeah.
Also, trust your instincts. They're your sacred arrows.
Yeah, instincts, intuition, whatever you want to call it. Like, you feel something and you know it, act on that. You know, like don't let it pass you by. When you honor Artemis, you remember that wild doesn't mean reckless. You know, we're talking about the arrow aimed with intention. We are talking about the wildness and the huntress and like being under the, full moon barefoot running through the woods. Yes, all of that feels wild, but there's purpose in it, right? Like we go in under the full moon, we get grounded. We run around barefoot, we get grounded. We gather with other women and be wild and scream in the woods. We're doing shadow work and healing ourselves, and we're grounding and centering and releasing. So all these things have purpose. So it doesn't mean that you're reckless just because you go out and act in that wild way. Like, I think of staying young and being a kid when I think of being wild. Like doing kid shit, honestly, like climbing on a jungle gym or... but outside stuff as a kid, I don't know, looking for insects, which I do every day in my yard all the time. So the things that I used to find really cool when I was little, I still find cool now. And even if I'm alone doing it, I do it anyways. Like looking at all the different flowers. How many stars can I find in my yard? How many different bugs can I name? Do I know all my flowers? It's like, I do that shit because that is what keeps me connected. That's my wild self. If electricity broke, if the internet broke, if everything broke down, I could still go out in my yard and enjoy myself and know things. Like I would still feel...
Oh, you would be right at home.
I'd be fine.
You'd be right at home. Yeah.
I'd be having people over here. These are all the things you can eat in the yard. Okay, here's where we get this. Yeah, that's what it would be like. Yeah. So just when you're working with when you're working with Artemis and you want to honor that part of yourself, it's just aligning with your own rhythm. Like what I talked about is really specific for me, but aligning with your own rhythm, whatever that means for you, wherever you live right now, because the seasons are drastically changing. People got snow in the last couple of weeks. It's,
we got really cold here in Florida this week. Had to turn the heat on, pull out the warm clothes, which nobody owns pants in Florida. I don't know if you guys know that or not. Most people don't even own pants. So it's a challenge.
I'm all sick from it.
When it gets down to 39 degrees.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, Lord.
So that is Sagittarius season in a nutshell. Yeah. Adventure, truth, and a bit of chaos, but all in the service of your soul's freedom.
Yeah. The adventure part, you guys. Make sure you get out there and do things for you that are adventurous and fun. I can't stress that enough because during this season, it feels like we're always doing for other people and then we're so incredibly drained. So incredibly drained. Yeah. Like, how bad was it when we were growing up for you? You were a single mom, so everything was on your shoulders.
It was hard.
Drained during that time?
Yeah, it was, it was hard all the time. I worked 2 or 3 jobs and, and just tried to keep all the balls in the air and everybody out of the hospital or jail.
Did you ever do anything for yourself? Like during that time, did you ever go to lunch by yourself?
No, I was very much my mother used to say, stop being a martyr, Katrina. And I'm like, what? I'm not a martyr, but I really did kind of like sacrifice for my kids. But I felt like that was what I was supposed to do because they're my children. I was responsible for them. I picked a dad that didn't stick around, so that meant that they only had half a parenting unit, and so I had to do everything. So
you were making up for that?
I was trying to do the best that I could with what I had, and it wasn't always easy because it's a struggle.
You just never rewarded yourself.
Nope. I didn't, because the kids always needed something, and I wanted the kids to have new school clothes and wear new shoes, and I didn't buy myself a new pair of tennis shoes one time for 5 years because
I remember that.
Because the money was tight, and I always wanted the kids to have decent clothes to go to school in.
Yeah,
that was important to me.
I do remember the 5-year-old tennis shoes. I do. I do.
They should be in the Smithsonian.
I mean, it's like the yellow plastic spoon that's existed since I was like 10. That's in her kitchen still. That is shocking to see, like how that's like proof that shit doesn't, the plastic will outlive all of us and like be spinning in space after the sun explodes. Yeah. So be sure that as this season gets hectic, that you're listening to your intuition, that you're actually aiming your intentions at things that are good for you, that you're allowing yourself to feel a little wild, free, messy, chaotic, crazy, whatever it is that makes you feel a little free, with healthy boundaries around it, but also staying away from the things that make you feel trapped, recognizing those. Journal about it this season. This season is so much. Don't worry about writing it down in your book of shadows or your grimoire. Just put it in the notes in your phone and come back to it later. That's what I have found to get me through the seasons that are really rough, is I write everything down on my phone and then I transfer it over later, because I'm like,
oh, that's a good idea.
Who has time to get out their grimoire and actually sit down and journal about it?
Right?
I don't.
That's so
I have
true.
to I do voice notes while I'm in the car. If something pissed me off or I need to come back to it, I'll be like, I need to journal about this. Why did that happen? Da, 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 da. Or anything else that was really interesting around this time. So this Sagittarius season, I can't talk tonight. It's because I only have one nostril working, if you can't tell I'm sick. I have just some slight congestion from the cold. This Sagittarius season, don't chase perfect. Chase purpose. Why'd I have to write that for myself?
I don't know.
Really fucking hard.
She always writes stuff like that. Don't chase perfection.
Chase purpose. Yes.
Also, light your fire.
Yeah.
Follow your aim, and let Artemis remind you, your wild spirit isn't something to tame, it's something to trust.
That's right. That's right. Don't worry about living the template. Live for yourself. Yeah.
Until next time, witches.
We'll see you later.
Keep your arrows sharp and your heart open to the magic of the journey, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.